It feels like it has been a month since I filmed, and it hasn't. It's been like 2 weeks. Holidays kicked my ass. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This video, we're gonna do the what I read in November. Oh my god, I don't have stats. Wow, I did great. Oh my gosh, how many books did I read? In the month of November, I have read 14 books. That's pretty good. I ain't gonna lie, with starting YouTube in the middle of it, I'm kind of shocked at how well I did book-wise. However, I got a few novellas in there, so that helped me a little bit. I DNF'd 2 books this month. One at 20% and one at like 70%. I read 5 romance, 1 dark romance, 6 romantasy, 1 fantasy, and 1 fiction. And then of those, I borrowed 10 books from the library. Shocker. I read none of the books that I own. 3 I borrowed from Kindle Unlimited, and 1 of them I listened off Spotify. The video is going to have to be broken up into 2 parts. I did not get much time the last couple of weeks. I've been crazy busy with Thanksgiving and stuff. So I filmed as much as I could of what I read 2 weeks ago, which was on November 23rd. And so I still had a week left. So I'm filming the rest of it in my intro now with my stats and all that stuff. So I'm going to throw it back to Past Me from 2 weeks ago to go through the first, I don't know how many books, up to the 23rd of November. So I'm going to do that now. You'll see probably better looking nails and a worse looking bookshelf because I got a new bookshelf for Christmas and it's beautiful. I'm so excited. She's so nice. She's a little darker though, so I think I'm paler. That's cool. The first 4 books that I read in November were part of the Shatter Me series. I originally started the series back in October, so I was finishing it up in the beginning of November. I completed Defy Me on November 1st, Reveal Me on November 2nd, Imagine Me on November 4th, and then Believe Me on November 5th. The Shatter Me series is about a girl named Juliet. That's where we start off at. She's in an insane asylum. Her parents put her there after a traumatic event with a little boy. She's got what I'm going to call a condition where she cannot be touched. If she's touched, then the person that has touched her is unalived. We follow her point of view throughout the entire series for the most part. We've got little novellas here and there and other characters' points of view, but it's really her journey of going from being insane to growing into her power and taking back the country from the reestablishment. The reestablishment is a government agency that came in after the world has gone to crap and took over. And they didn't take over in a great way. Defy Me, I gave that one a 4-star rating. I did really like that one. So coming off of Ignite Me, which was book number 3 in this series, book number 4 fell very flat, very slow. It definitely felt like a filler. Defy Me, which was book 5, was definitely less of a filler. There was a lot going on. I loved it. It was a roller coaster ride. I gave it 4 stars. So Reveal Me, that was, I believe, in Kenji's point of view. Loved Kenji. He was one of my favorite characters. I gave that one 4 stars as well. I love the fact that we got a couple novellas from Kenji. He was a riot. He was so fun. Imagine Me was the last main book in this series. I gave that one 3 stars. That one let me down a little bit. Ignite Me ended in such a badass way. And then Imagine Me is the final book, and the ending was so anticlimactic. I was a bit bummed. The first half was really good, but the second half started to fall flat for me. And then the last book in this series that I finished was Believe Me, the last novella. This one's in Warner's point of view. I gave this one 2 stars. I felt like this novella was just not necessary. It was pretty boring. I didn't see a point to it. I probably would have DNF'd it if it wasn't for me being so invested in the entire series at that point to finish out everything. I put this could have been a 30-page epilogue. After Believe Me, I listened to Two Can Play by Hazelwood. She released this as an audio only. It was really quick. I think it was only a 4-hour audiobook. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. I really love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I haven't come across an Ali Hazelwood book that I don't like yet. This one was really cute, really sweet. The book is based around two video game companies that come together for a retreat. They are rivals, but they're coming together for a project. Our main male character, for some reason, you find out in the story, avoids our main female character at all costs. She thinks that he hates her. Um, it was a sweet romance. It was cute. I really loved it. This one till the end, I'm sure, is going to be all vlogged content that I've already had videos on. So if you want to check out those videos, I will list them in the cards. I haven't got to say that yet. All right, next up, I've got Daydream. Daydream is the last book that we have on the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace. This book's about Henry and Hallie. Henry has ADHD. Hallie's got some social anxiety. She's an extreme people pleaser. And then they get to know each other, get to like each other. They start dating. I did not like this book. I thought it was insanely boring. I'm realizing I don't think Hannah Grace as an author is for me, which is okay. This book was extremely character driven and not very plot driven, and I didn't connect with the characters, unfortunately. So I give this one a 2-star. Moving on. Next up, I've got Nothing Like the Movies, which is the sequel to Better Than the Movies. I loved Better Than the Movies, and I loved Nothing Like the Movies. Great series. So it's set in high school. Liz has got a crush on somebody. She enlists Wes for some assistance in trying to get her crush. And if he succeeds, then Wes gets a parking spot. The guy that Liz likes isn't truly the guy for her. Wes is. The banter is adorable. It's kind of an enemies to lovers. They pick on each other. And then we got Nothing Like the Movies, which is them going off to college. We've got some grief in this one. Better Than the Movies was more Liz's perspective. Nothing Like the Movies is more Wes's story. I gave it 4 stars. It's a good one. Next up, I've got Stolen Heir, which is our second book in the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. This one is a dark mafia romance. We've got, I believe at this point in the series, 4 different mafia families. We've got Italian, Irish, Polish, and Russian, all trying to gain the Chicago territory. And our second book, Stolen Heir, is about the Polish mafia coming in. We've got our main character, Miko. He kidnaps the ballerina of the family, the black sheep. She's not really into that part of her family aspect. She stays out of it. It's very Beauty and the Beast vibes. He goes from absolutely hating her to falling hard for her and switching sides. I loved it. I gave it a 4-star. I really enjoy Sophie Lark's writing. I went into it thinking I wasn't going to like it because I hadn't read the first one in a while, and I only gave the first one 3 stars. Next one up is Quicksilver. This one is not the vlog. Oh man, Quicksilver. As of right now, Quicksilver is my favorite read of November. That could change in the next week. All right, what is Quicksilver about? Oh my goodness. Gosh, I love this book. But we've got Cyrus, who lives in a very poor part of town. It's in a world where the water is rationed. She's extremely poor. She does what she can. She steals what she can. And then she ends up getting in trouble and has to go see Queen Maeve, who's like 1,000 years old. And during the process of going to see Queen Maeve, she sentenced her to death. And at this point, she escapes and she goes to the Quicksilver, to an alternate Fey dimension. We've got Kingfisher, who comes in and gets her and takes her to a Fey realm. And we learn that Cyrus can manipulate the Quicksilver. She is what is called an alchemist, and that there's not many of them there. She's very rare in that respect. And the main part of the story is all in this Fey realm of her learning alchemy and getting to know Kingfisher. Kingfisher is a grump. He is mean. He is a broody dude. He's also a shadow daddy. Love him. I loved the pacing of this story. It was so great. I was never bored with it. It did take me longer to read it than I would have liked because I kind of took a break and read like 4 books in between whenever I started this one. I wish that I had not done that. However, I started my channel right around the time that I was reading this one. Kind of had to put it on the back burner while I finished up other books. I absolutely loved Carrion's character, which is kind of funny because in the beginning you hate Carrion. I honestly, with first impressions on Carrion, I'm like, well, he was a douche. Glad he's gone. Like, we're not going to see him again. No, that's not the case. He was hilarious. I loved him. He was probably, next to Kingfisher, my favorite character of the entire thing. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I would have given it 5 stars. There was just a couple of things that kind of docked it for me. I wasn't a fan of Malcolm and the lover aspect of Malcolm. I didn't like that ending. I didn't like his character all that much. I thought they could have done a villain in a better way. But yeah, I gave it 4.5 stars. I cannot wait for book number 2 to come out in this series. I'm ready. The audiobook just came out at the end of October and it was freaking awesome. It was done in a duet narration. Oh, and fun fact about this audiobook. The main male character, Kingfisher, or the one really doing all of the male parts in this, was the same narrator as Akatar dramatized version. Oh, beautiful. Loved it. Yes. Okay, next. Next. The next one that I attempted to read, I DNF'd it. Oh no. I attempted to read this one after Quicksilver, This Woven Kingdom. I was going to do this whole series in a vlog. It didn't work out. I got 70% of the way through This Woven Kingdom and I DNF'd her. Oh, I'm so bummed about it. Same author as Shatter Me. I would have never guessed they were the same author if I didn't already know. They were written so differently. So differently. I loved the writing in Shatter Me. The writing in This Woven Kingdom bored me. So our main female character in this one is Eliza. She's a Gen and she's hiding as a servant, basically hiding in plain sight. The pacing on this was so slow. I was bored. I was so bored. Very little happened. The characters, they had an insta-love, but also slow. It was strange. We spent most of the book with them apart. Like they had like 2 interactions with each other and it was insta-love. I was not a fan. I'm also learning this about myself. Whenever the writing is super flowery and written in a old-timey sort of way, I don't tend to connect very well. I can't engage the character's personality because everything is prim and proper and in that old style of writing, and I feel like it's bland and there's like 0 personality. So I struggled with that aspect of it. I felt like both characters were extremely boring. They're both like really honorable, but that's basically all that I could gather about their personalities. They're honorable people. They wanted to do the right thing. I didn't rate this one because I DNF'd it. I did make it 70% of the way through it, but I still didn't rate it. I feel bad about reading things that I don't finish. The last book that I finished, as of this clip right now, is The Games Gods Play. We've got the Greek gods in this one, and every 100 years, they put on a set of trials, 12 trials. They each pick a human to compete in the trials, and whoever wins the trials means that god, the god that picks them, will become the ruler of Olympus for the next 100 years. Our main male character is Hades, and then our main female character is Lyra. And Hades picks Lyra to compete in these trials for him. He doesn't normally join the trials, however, this time around he did, and none of the other gods like that. They're all a-holes except for a few, which makes sense. It's Greek mythology. It was so fast-paced. It was so jam-packed. Loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I will say that it is more fantasy than romance. I think it might be classified as a romantasy. However, it's mainly trials. Like, they got to fit 12 trials into this book. It's pretty much going to be mostly trials. There's a trial constantly, and they last for multiple chapters. So the romance aspect didn't really have much room to develop outside of those trials because Hades isn't in the trials with her. So that part kind of felt lacking for romantasy. However, I still absolutely loved this book. It was fun. Next clip will be future me covering probably all of these library books. And I'm getting sorry. I'm hungry. What time is it? 1 o'clock. Oh, I'm losing the day so fast. So fast. Where's this day going? So I know that the last book that I just reviewed was The Games Gods Play. In the time frame in the last 2 weeks, I got her in special edition. Oh, she's beautiful. Have to show her off. So pretty. Black Friday shopping. I was not good. I bought like 8 books. But, ooh, yeah. The next book that I read was The Love of My Afterlife. I actually finished it like the same day that I was filming 2 weeks ago. Finished it that night. I gave that book a 3.5 star. I thought it was a cute romance, but I wasn't over the moon in love with it. It was just cute. It was lighthearted. It was fun. So we've got our main female character, Delphi, and she dies right off the bat. Chapter 1, she chokes on a microwavable burger. So she then meets her afterlife therapist, Merritt. I absolutely adored Merritt's character. She was the highlight of the entire book. She was hilarious. Her lines were so funny. And then she has a run-in with a random guy that she immediately hits it off with. In the middle of her hitting it off with him, somebody runs in, I think it's Merritt, I'm pretty sure, and it's like, we made a mistake. You're not really dead. You need to go back. You're in a coma or something. So she sends him back. And then Delphi was like, what the heck? Like, we hit it off. She makes a deal with Merritt to go back down to Earth to essentially get him to kiss her because Merritt believes that he might be one of her soulmates. You get 5 in your lifetime. And so she has 12 days per Merritt's rules to try to get him to kiss her. So we just follow through her trying to attempt this. And in the process, we meet Delphi's neighbor, who's like really grumpy and a computer programmer, I think. And we follow Delphi, essentially. I did vlog this one along with the next couple and the last one. So I got The Games Gods Play, Love of My Afterlife, and a few more that I have a vlog for. So I will put the vlog up in the cards. My next one is How to End a Love Story. I DNF'd this one at 20%. I was not vibing with the writing. I was not vibing with the characters. I did not like the female character at all. She was negative, very negative and mean, and she was pretty insufferable. DNF'd that guy at 20%. Wasn't digging it. Moved right along. Next up, I read Tress of the Emerald Sea. I gave this book 4 stars. I truly did love this book. It was so fun to get into Brandon Sanderson's writing for the first time. He was a very whimsical writer, and I'm just getting a taste of his writing, and I can already see some aspects of him being the king of fantasy. So in this book, Tress of the Emerald Sea, we follow Tress. And the book starts out with Tress's friend Charlie. Yeah, Charlie. He's being taken on this trip by his dad to go find a bride. Charlie really likes Tress, though, so Charlie's like, I ain't doing it. I'm going to be the worst person to all of these girls that I meet, and I'm going to stay true to you. Like, I will not be finding myself a bride. And in the process, he gets taken by a sorceress, essentially. And this is all at the very beginning of the book. The book follows Tress as she tries to go save him from this sorceress. We've got pirates. We've got a talking rat. The book is written in a really cool way. Brandon Sanderson writes it in first person and third person. We get told the story from one of the crewmates in the story, but we get told it in a third person way. So the crewmate is talking straight to us as the reader regarding Tress. And we get little clips from him about like how everything's actually happening. The character that we're getting told this story from has had a spell put on him by the sorceress. And so he's a little bit loopy. He's basically lost his mind. So he does random goofy things in this that you're like, what? I did enjoy this book quite a bit. I actually love the writing style. The writing style was so unique. It was so fun. I did not like the ending. I was so bummed by the ending. It was definitely an adventure style book, straight fantasy. But the ending was so anticlimactic. Like, we built up this giant journey. And the 2 things in this book that I was really looking forward to were just kind of like real quick. Yeah, the ending was just a bit like wrapped up without any like fuss. Yeah, I didn't understand the ending. Maybe that's it. Maybe I was just not understanding it. That's very possible. I'm really new to just straight fantasy books. I've only read a couple of like regular fantasy books. That is my goal for this next year, is to try to really dive into some true fantasy books that doesn't have romance necessarily tied to it. So the next book that I read was Check and Mate by Hazelwood. This is her YA book that she wrote. I believe it was released last year. I never looked it up to verify, but I'm pretty sure it was released last year. I have notes regarding the character's name, but for some reason in my brain, I keep thinking that it's wrong. I've changed her name in my brain so many times. So if this is the incorrect name, I won't be shocked. I don't know why I cannot keep her name straight in my head. But we got our main characters, Melanie and Nolan. They both are extremely good at chess. Melanie quit chess whenever she was quite young due to a falling out with her father, and then her father is passing, I believe. And so chess was something that she connected with him on, and she wasn't able to play it after that. It just didn't hold the same value, so she let it go. So she randomly gets pulled back into it, and she plays a game on a competition, I believe, and she plays against Nolan, who's like this crazy good chess player. He's like top of his league, and she wins. She wipes the board with him. So we essentially follow Melanie falling back into, I say the sport, but falling back into chess to attempt to support her family and to make some money because she is the breadwinner of her family. So many books has the young ones being the breadwinner of the family. I'm literally reading Redeeming Six right now, and it's the same exact thing, except in a more heartbreaking way. She is trying to support her family. Her mama has had some illnesses hit, so her mom's not able to consistently bring in money. So yeah, we follow Melanie through her chess journey and falling in love with Nolan. I liked this book. It was cute. It had a lot of chess in it though, and I'm not a chess player, so that part was a little bit boring to me. I hate to say that. Because I read like Project Hail Mary, and that had a lot of science in it, and I freaking loved that book. Project Hail Mary, I gave 5 stars. It was an awesome book. Regardless, this one had a lot of chess. The first 100 pages were really slow going because we didn't have a whole lot of interaction between Nolan and Melanie. We had like 2 interactions, and they were both with like Melanie running away. So the first 100 pages, I was a little bit bored. It was all chess. It was all about our family. I gave Check and Mate 3.5 stars. It was cute, but it wasn't my favorite Ali Hazelwood book. I am excited to finish Ali Hazelwood's backlog, though. I'm a little bit nervous about Not in Love, though. That one is super spicy, and super spicy is not my cup of tea. I like plot and tension and heartfelt and like feelings, and yeah, super spicy just whenever it takes over, I'm just like, oh, I'm bored. I'm still gonna read it. I'm gonna get attempted at least, but I really don't want to DNF an Ali Hazelwood book. I don't know why I don't, but I don't. So if I start it, I think I'm probably gonna push through and finish it. We'll see. We'll see whenever I get around to that. The last book that I read in November was my first ever Stephen King book. I cheated because Stephen King intimidates me like no other author. And I have a whole shelf dedicated to him. But these are all my hubby's books. They are not mine. I read Elevation by Stephen King. I gave this a 2-star. Aw. I didn't even realize I gave it that low of a rating. Sorry, Stephen King. All right. I read Elevation by Stephen King. This thing was so short. It was just a fiction novel. This is a story about a man named Scott, and he starts noticing that the scale is going down whenever he weighs himself every day, that his weight is going down, but his actual physical body doesn't show it. So even though his weight is going down, he's not showing it on his physical person. And if he adds anything, if he picks up weights or anything like that, that doesn't change the scale. He actually somehow changes other things. Like if he touches somebody else, it changes their weight. Super strange. So we follow him going through the course of I'm not even really trying to figure this out, accepting it. I would say accepting it. But he meets with a doctor. It's kind of a found family with some strange neighbors in a race randomly. It was weird, and I was kind of bored throughout it. I was happy that I got to listen to it because it did make it go a bit quicker. But the ending did pick up. a little bit. But like the middle section was pretty boring to me. Yeah. Bummed. The premise of it sounded so interesting. I was not vibing with it though. 2 stars. The series that I want to read from Stephen King is the fantasy series, the Gunslinger series. So that was the 14 books that I read in November, 2 DNFs. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you stick around. Let's be friends. Have a great night, everybody. Hope you're doing well.